influences that maybe are not believers the way we are. And again, that's fine. I'm not going to insult them or try to belittle them for that. But the truth is, we living your life, unless you're a recluse, you're going to have to be around influences, and even going beyond art, whether it's music or movie, the silver screen, big movies, little screen, any of it. We're going to be around influences. We're going to be around influences that are not godly, and that don't think the same way that we do. And even there, you have to guard your heart and guard your mind. And because if you're going to have a job, then you're going to be around it. And so with music, you can do like you said. You can listen to certain things or not. Movies, you can look at certain things or not. But when we're out there and we're working, we're doing living the life that we feel called to do, we're going to be around that stuff. And so I hope that helps. I hope that speaks to somebody. Whether you probably have already talked about that with your parents, or and my listeners out there, maybe you as well. But if there's anybody out there, I hope that can speak to you if it's something you haven't thought about yet. So just if you're a Bible-believing Christian and you would call yourself someone who is following Christ, then something to think about is to just have that constant guard up and judge everything in the light of God's Word.
Yes.
Yeah. As so far as that's how you protect your mind and your heart, is by measuring it compared to God's Word. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So, sorry, we got off on a little tangent, but hey, that's what happens on these podcasts. I go off on tangents several times in each episode I've had. So, and I think that's good, especially if it's something meaningful. So, what are your thoughts?
If I had to go off of what you just said, I would say that's super important. And if you think about what you put in affects you, for my life specifically, it's so important to be not just watching what comes in, but also filling myself with the right things.
Yeah.
And of course, if I were to talk about music, worship music, Christian music, that focuses my attention on God. And that's where most of my listening will be, because that's what I care about the most. But besides music, just being in the Word and learning how to commune with God as a friend, because then He'll be there when you're with the people that are influencing you.
Yeah.
He'll be the greater influence.
Yeah.
Like whoever you spend the most time with, you're going to become like them. Like one of my friends, whenever he's with somebody and that has an accent, he gets the accent. And so whenever I talk with God, whenever I'm going to have a conversation with God, whether in my alone time or just any time, I want to be able to talk like Him, and look like Him, and walk like Him. And that only comes through communion with Him. So.
Yeah. Stay in the Word. Yeah. Be praying. Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. You're pretty wise.
Thank you.
I'll give you that.
It comes from the people above me, like you and my parents and my grandparents. So.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? What have we missed? Now that we've gone off, both of us, on our tangents, what have we missed as it comes to the different generations of music? We're going on 50 minutes now, so we'll probably wrap up pretty quick here. But having said that, if we missed something, we need to talk about it. Have we missed anything here?
I would say we might have missed the present day situation we have with some of the popular idols. I would consider in the music world.
Okay.
That's just
go ahead. Elaborate a little bit.
Okay. If I had to say some names, well, I'm not going to say any names as far as artists, but
that's fine.
I think that artists, some of the music that they make is very sensual.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's healthy for anybody. That's my personal take.
Yeah.
But when people don't realize what they're listening to, like I said before, it's going to affect them. And I don't know, like some people are very defensive over that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is almost frightening.
Yeah.
Because if they are a Christian, which most of the people in my sphere are Christians, but when they make that such high importance, it's worrying.
Yeah.
Because that's it. What is actually important? If it's not just saying it, it's living it out.
Yeah.
And music, it's very influential. Everyone I know listens to music.
Yeah.
And everyone I know has a favorite artist, and I do too.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. It's like this day and age is very sensual and secular.
Yeah.
And most people I know, Christians, non-Christians, they're going to listen to music that's like that, which is kind of sad because they don't really know what they're listening to.
Yeah.
Because I like to listen to the lyrics, but that's also my family. Like they've ingrained that into me to have a discerning spirit and just kind of wary of some stuff that's popular because the world is the world.
Yeah.
But
yeah, as you said, they either don't know what to listen to, or maybe they do and they don't care. And you said something about being so many people will be defensive about that, and I want to ask you before I want to comment on that, but you're talking about the people who are listening to it and enjoying it, and then become defensive whenever a contrary point of view comes from. Yeah, the reason they're being defensive is because then they have to admit to themselves that it might not, what they're listening to might not be okay. And again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that, except the biggest reason is because it's not, one, it is getting a little bit on a tangent, but I'm glad you brought it up, because that's an important part for us as we live our lives as Christians, is that we need to be able to admit whenever we're wrong. We need to be able to admit whenever we might be seeing or listening to something that maybe is unduly influencing us. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I think that's good. It's one of those things you can say it goes without saying, but no, I don't want to let it go without saying. Let's go ahead and bring it up. So I'm glad you did. I mean, that's good.
And that kind of brings to mind also, if I'm just looking at this decade,
yeah.
If I were to go back to, let's say, Gen Z or Gen X,
yeah.
If just at a outsider point of view,
yeah.
that music kind of feels rebellious to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how some of the people were in that generation.
It's kind of something that Gen X is known for, yeah. It's kind of rebellion.
And if you look at the music being that way, the people, there may have been correlation.
Yeah.
The music being rebellious, the attitudes, and the people that came out of there, not all of them are bad, but during that period they were very rebellious.
Yeah.
And
here's food for thought, and it's I promise I'm not saying this just because I am a Gen Xer. I have no part, I have no dog in this, and that I'm a Christian. Anything that I've done whenever I was a teenager, that's in my past. So the reason I preface that is because I want to bring up a point that I think a lot of people miss, is that I think rebellion. I'll leave it at that. Just rebellion, since we're talking about that alone, I think it doesn't belong just to one generation. And again, I'm not saying that because I'm not.
I agree.
But it's important to know that. This is what I'm saying, is because it is important to know that is there was rebellion in baby boomers. There was rebellion in the greatest generation, what we've labeled the greatest generation. Guess what? Rebellion.
Yeah.
Millennials, Gen Z, that's always going to be an issue. And so it always has been and always will be an issue in the walk of humanity, is struggling with that rebellion. And the reason I bring that up is because we can have a tendency to say, for instance, oh, now it's just terrible. And in some ways it is. It has gotten worse. I'll go ahead and say that. But I don't want to miss out on the fact that, well, it has been bad before. Just, we tend to think, especially as Christians, that today is the worst it's ever been. Is it? Maybe. Yeah, maybe so. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on there that we wouldn't even have thought about. But I guess the point is rebellion is something that's always been around, and it always will be until the end of time.
Yeah.
Until after the return.
I would even say that music doesn't bring the rebellion.
Yeah.
I would say that the rebellion is often demonstrated through music.
Yeah,
like jazz.
It's a reflection of the
if you were to
hearts.
go back to the beginning of the 20th century, it was like jazz. Jazz was kind of weird.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, it was slow dancing, kind of weird, that sort of thing. But it started. The people made the music.
Yeah.
And that was the rebellion. It's only continued. That's an interesting theme,
Yeah.
I guess, or motif you can see in history.
I couldn't agree more with that. It can have an influence, but it is more of a reflection as far as if we're going to look at the ties between the generations and their music. It more is a reflection of the generation and not necessarily the influence. The influence is still there, influencing others who didn't make the music but are listening. But as far as what it tells us, I think it is more of a reflection of the hearts of that era. At least in the secular moment.
That's interesting.
So anyway, well, I think this is a pretty good one. I'll wrap this up and get it out there as quick as possible. But I really do appreciate you again, everybody. This has been Noah Carrillo, my guest for this episode. Also, by the way, I want to plug a thing he's doing. Noah is, to say that he is, I don't know, I could use an adjective such as exceptional or outstanding for his artistry. And he does different types of art, but right now one of the big ones is graphite, or I guess
colored pencil too.
Colored pencil. Okay, so pencil and paper, graphite paper is one of the big things he's doing. He's also doing it as a business of sorts. You're doing mostly portraits right now, but I guess you're open to other things too.
Yeah.
If you would like to, if you'd be interested in getting a portrait done or something else, whatever, just he can always say yes or he can always say no, but it doesn't hurt to ask. But if you'd be interested, and let me tell you, by the way, I might even try to find one of your things that you've done that maybe your parents have posted. I might try to, with your permission, I want to maybe put it on this podcast for the picture.
Yeah.
That way people can see how good it is. Because I want to tell people, I've seen it and it's amazing. It's lifelike. It is absolutely lifelike. And but you have to see it. People aren't going to believe me just because I'm saying it. They have to see it. So if it's all right with you and your parents, I might pull one of those off of maybe one of your parents' posts and use it for the picture for this episode.
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
I'll just have to talk.
And I'll wait to get the okay. Just text me.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want, if you're interested or you'd like to order something and commission him to do a piece of art for you, email me at michael@calltoserve.us. And that's, of course, y'all know that's my normal email for anything. If you have suggestions or feedback, please email me there. You can also, we have a Facebook, Call to Serve Podcast. We have Instagram. And also, our phone number is 762-2506-308. So, again, that's the way I remember it now. That's the only, otherwise I wouldn't remember that. Again, text or call, or you can leave a, if I don't answer, you can leave a voicemail. But that's 762-2506-308 if you want some of his art, or if you just want to comment on today or other episodes. I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for listening. Noah, thank you for being on with me like this.
Thank you.
I'd love to have you another time.
Yeah.
In the future, we'll see. So, everybody, give a shout out to Noah Carrillo, and thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.